I was watching movies and I was loving them, and I know that people use money to make movies, and what my way to make money for making my own movies is starting off with the YouTube series. And this is the series. Is what I got for Save Games animated program, like which is the first level.
Um, I heard it. I think I heard it from my parents one day that I was gonna go and help voice act.
Oh, it's significant for me because I enjoyed it. You know, it was my first time doing that, and my daughter is studying film and TV at the University, New York University, NYU, and she's going to be a movie maker. So maybe it's my beginning of my voiceovers for one of her films one day. That would be a really cool thing. So I enjoyed it.
Um, to be honest with you, I don't really know the character, so I saw it, and um, so it was colorful. So
I thought it was really fun to be able. I've never done any voice acting before, so it was a cool opportunity to read those lines with emotion and have fun. I've got some microphones at my house, so I had fun getting the technology set up and then reading those lines a few times and sending them over. That was a good experience for me. I thought the character was fun because he was a good guy, so it was nice to be able to play a good person. It maybe it would be fun to play an evil person too, but I did like to be able to use the tone of voice that felt like kind of natural to me because I guess maybe I don't consider myself an evil person, so it was good to be able to play a good character.
Well, I thought it was great. That William's always coming up with ideas, so I thought, oh, great, another good idea, and especially because there was so many things closed and we weren't doing Taekwondo anymore, and so many things weren't happening. I thought, oh, that's great, and I didn't really understand how big it was going to be. I didn't really understand how it was going to be a whole series, so I had to learn that later.
I thought that it was exciting because number one, I thought that Williams' animation was really fun. Like his perspectives on the way he drew things was really cool, and I thought that telling stories about COVID and about Ukraine were perfect for the times we live in because he was writing stories about the important things that were going on in the world.
And Bam was like based on like like a character is like a character that I would think of like a way like like a like an action way. Like instead of using guns like shooting that shoot bullets, he uses laser guns and tranquilizer darts. And I had his hair cover or his like this eye to make him more mysterious.
Probably mechanical. Um, I probably feel powerful, strong.
I would like that 10-year-old boy. I think he's a brave individual and he has lots of courage and confidence because he's fighting for what's right against what's wrong.
that'd be fantastic. I would. I think that'd be pretty neat if a little boy was able to do it, but I'd be happy with just about anybody that was able to do it.
That would be amazing. I do believe that children have a lot of power to make a huge difference in the world. And so if I heard that Bam was a real person and ended COVID and ended the war, I would just celebrate. I think that would be amazing.
Well, that would be a tremendous thing because, you know, God does give everyone gifts and abilities, and if He used a 10-year-old to come and help others, wow, that just shows again how powerful God is and how He can use anyone, no matter what their age is.
Boy, I don't know because at this point I've learned a lot more about Bam because William wrote the stories about his backstory for English this past year, and seeing some of his ideas for future episodes, and feel like I've gotten to know him a little bit. But he's such amazing character with this like computer skin and all this, and his special eye, and I think I probably wouldn't know what to say if I actually met him.
I'd probably give him a big hug, shake his hand, and say thank you.
William has a strong affection for action movies like The Matrix and The Terminator, even though he's never seen The Terminator, he's watched all the trailers. But I especially like going to watch the movies with William. We just got back this week from watching the latest Mission Impossible movie, which was a lot of fun. And so I think, getting to make an action movie is so much more fun when you're a big fan.
When the COVID-19 pandemic started, I was was not expecting it. I felt like being in the history books, like this virus of COVID-19. I know I was gonna be famous, and I thought of people making movies about it, and this animated season was like the first season show for me to make.
I think we got sick once in COVID, yeah.
Oh wow, it was such a big surprise. I know in my lifetime I've never been through anything that significant, which shut down our ability to be mobile, to go out, to do our normal things, and not worry about catching some new virus. So it was extremely difficult.
Well, when COVID started, I remember driving my son to school, and I told him, I said, you watch, in the next couple days, this will turn into something that will be in the history books. And that's like 2 days later, everything closed. There were some things that were really challenging. There were like just missing everybody. It was difficult to not be with people. There were other things that were actually really nice. Everything kind of slowed down a little bit, and I was able to spend a little bit more time with my family, and so that was really nice.
When COVID started for me, I thought it was really fascinating to watch it develop so quickly. As a pastor, we were wondering right away, is it going to close down our church services, and are people really canceling school for all of this? So it was very confusing at first.
It was really weird. I hadn't heard that it had gotten a lot worse, but I was at the high school, I think, or the middle school. I think I was at the middle school for a meeting, and they were talking about the school shutting down, and everyone was kind of going crazy about it. I'm like, oh wow, it's a big deal. And sure enough, they never got me the papers because they left that day and none of them went back. And I thought, surely you can go into the empty building and grab a few papers, but they weren't, I guess, supposed to do that. So anyway, it was crazy. And for us, it was okay because we have all our own school stuff here at home. But as far as going to the grocery store, that was crazy, and there was no toilet paper to be had. And at first we didn't have masks. And I remember we had just a couple masks left over from construction, so we had to pull out the old masks and stuff. It was really bizarre, but we got used to it after a while. But it was definitely, everything came to a halt.
When COVID started, I think a lot of people were nervous. A lot of people were anxious. They didn't know how many people would get sick or die, and we all had to stay home. So I think a lot of people, it was a pretty big change.
We kind of followed along with what people asked us to do, what the government asked us to do with wearing masks and keeping distance, and we still ended up getting sick the first Christmas of COVID. I think I got it first, and so I had to quarantine in my room, and then right when I got done, then my wife got it, so we had to do like several weeks where we were all separated from each other right around Christmas time. So that was a bummer, but we're really grateful that none of us, nor anybody really close to us, had to go to the hospital or anything like that. So.
I thought to make an animated series of The Matrix, The Terminator, and real life problems all put together. And I thought of Bam fighting real life problems because I didn't have the idea of the Death Squad back then. And I would say that Save Games animated program level 1 was gonna be all about fighting COVID-19. And then later, and then what I could have also mentioned to you is I was very worried about the Ukrainians when the war in Ukraine started. It was, to me, it felt like Red Dawn, but to the Ukrainians. And I would say that I feel bad for Ukraine when that war started. And so I thought for Bam fighting both COVID-19 and the war in Ukraine.
Well, I would feel threatened, but then again, I know that God is in control and that He protects those who love Him and those who walk with Him. I'm sure if a person like that does exist, that God does know about him and He will take care of him.
I would be very happy because he would be able to save a lot of people.
Boy, I'm so glad Adolf Murder is a pretend character. It would be a really scary thing if he was real. Glad that that's not true. We got enough bad guys in this world.
That would be, well, that would be an affront to God. So I have, that's a hard question. Obviously, a person like that, I'd have to wonder what their motives were, like why that would be the case. I suspect that he wouldn't be fighting against men anymore. He'd be fighting against God. And so I pity him, actually. So.
Well, that'd be terrifying. I would really hope that he didn't have the resources that he needed to do what he was trying to do. And I would hope a superhero like Bam would rise up and stop him.
Wow. Well, I think we'd all love for COVID-19 to be gone forever. Wish there really was a Bam that could really kill the last virus and it'd be gone forever. We just had friends at our church in Pittsburgh. A bunch of them had COVID and weren't able to go to church that Sunday. It's not a pandemic anymore, but it's still definitely out there. And boy, it'd be great if it wasn't. But we just enjoy watching the show about that. It's not a reality at this point.
I think I must have heard it on the radio in the car driving to work, and heard that things were starting to get really scary. And then I remember watching the news with my family as well, or my wife at least, and praying a lot for that nation. And remember the church coming together a lot for raising support for people who were impacted by the war. But yeah, I remember that being pretty scary.
That's one of those things I wish could happen too, because, we're all rooting for Ukraine and wanting the Russians to go home. And, I'm powerless to do anything about it besides pray, of course. But, boy, wouldn't it be great if there were some people like Bam that could go and make that happen. I know a lot of people have tried to help in different ways, but boy, it'd be awesome if Bam could really help President Zelensky and the war could be over and the Ukrainians could have peace in their own country. That'd be awesome.
I think people were really surprised that Russia would actually go through with the invasion of Ukraine. And I think we all feel really badly for the people of Ukraine whose houses and cities have been destroyed, and the war that's gone on for a long time where a lot of people have died.
And then I thought, I asked my dad to download Flip-A-Clip onto his ThinkPad, and I was drawing animations for both the well, I shouldn't say both. I should say for all the Savings Animated Program Level 1.
Boy, it's been so fun to watch this whole show develop. And like I said before, I had no idea the scope that William was planning, and I can't wait to see what he comes up with in the future.
I had a great time helping William learn how to use some of the tools like Cakewalk and how to export his movies out of Flip a Clip. And then right towards the end of the project, William got his new computer and learning how to use the stylus and all the cool tech he's got now. It's really exciting to see all the things he's learning.
When COVID-19 was getting better, that's why I had 2 episodes for COVID-19. Like one when the last hospital was all healed from him, and the next one when he and his viruses are all dead. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I was talking about COVID-19, and I was like getting a little nervous of COVID-19 being better, because I was thinking what if Bam exactly killed COVID-19? Well, the big emergency of it is over, but there are some guys that got sick of COVID-19. So I'm glad to know that I made the part when Bam kills COVID-19, and I posted it on the 4th of July. Oh, and speaking of the 4th of July, I thought that the 4th of July is the America Day, America's birthday. And of course of the war in Ukraine, if it was over, it would be a big celebration. Like the 4th of July would celebrate that if those really happened, both COVID-19 and the war in Ukraine would be over.
Well, it would be great if we could have superheroes who could end world problems like that. Unfortunately, that only happens in the stories, but it's nice to have stories where exciting things like that can happen.
I am really grateful that people are not suffering in the same way they did a couple of years ago, and that it seems like things are under control, and that I'm so happy that we don't have to wear masks anymore and keep our distance. I like being close to people, so I feel really grateful that the hospitalizations and deaths have stopped, and I feel so grateful that we can have the human connection that we've always been made to have, and for a little while it got paused or at least restricted so much. So I feel really grateful.
I would be grateful very much.
I would absolutely appreciate that. Anyone who sees fit to help someone who needs help, that's a person that I would say has lots again confidence and courage. And anyone who's willing to help another is a beautiful thing. I would appreciate it.
I think we were all really excited and nervous all at the same time. And I don't know if you knew this, William, but I had my own phone, and I was looking at the countdown happening on there, and Lily had her iPod, and she was looking at the countdown happening there. And so we kind of were all, anticipating. I think it felt like, like a launch for all of us. So we were really excited.
I thought that was amazing because it was the culmination of so much hard work, and to see a project all the way through to completion, and to be able to celebrate the success of being able to put it out there for other people to enjoy, I thought that was really awesome, and it was a lot of fun to see it live on YouTube, so that now the world can enjoy it.
I didn't really write the storyboard for the whole story. I just animated it on the way. And for War Help, I had an idea borrowed from the Matrix. And of course, got to tell you, got to tell you, if you really like that part when in that fight arena scene, when President Zelensky loses his beard and gets it back, if you really love that scene, I'm gonna be really honest about it. It was never in the script. And why I added that scene was that I forgot to add the beard when President Zelensky throws the bomb. And then you, as you know, in the end of War Help, the Ukrainians won the metaverse fight, which is in Fight Arena. And of course, I would say that every war, like including the war in Ukraine and the war in Israel, which are today, that in this video, would be in the metaverse. I think Earth would be more healthier if battles are in the metaverse, not exactly killed in the real world.
I would be happy for the Ukrainians if they won the war.
Well, like anything, whenever there's loss of life, that's really sad. It's something that, for whatever reason, a lot of different reasons on why that war was happening or is happening. But the bottom line is there are people involved, and people are getting hurt, and people are losing property and homes, and it makes me really upset to hear that.
Well, any help we can get is beneficial. So again, that would just show the significance of God using whoever he wanted to use to accomplish his purpose and to solve the problems in the world that we have today.
For American Chase, I thought of like some bad guys putting a bomb in Washington, D.C. And of course, well, I would say I was thinking of a bad guy. And I thought of some people who want to kill everyone in the planet. And they want to kill every living being. And then I would think of like Adolf Murder after Adolf Hitler. And of course, I thought of some robot chasing to be like more of a sci-fi animated series. One man gets the bomb and chases it, and he exploded the robots.
Obviously, again, anytime there's destruction, I'm going to be really upset about that. Also, if it's people, anytime you're disguising like someone you trust, that's a break in trust, and so that would be really horrible, actually. So I would feel that would be pretty bad if that ever happened. So
that would be terrible because we have a lot of important people that live in the DC area to serve our country, our government, and the fact that I'm from Virginia, about 20 miles away from DC, and my brother works at the Pentagon, so I would be pretty disappointed if something were to threaten his life or my family's life in Virginia personally. But again, that's a threat against our government, a threat against the way our country conducts its business, because everything comes out of Washington, D.C.
Oh. Yeah, that's a scary thought, kind of like 9/11 when the plane crashed into the Pentagon, and the world doesn't feel safe sometimes. That'd be pretty scary.
And for $10,000 prize, I was loving the two YouTubers, Mr. Beast and Mark Rober. And Mark Rober, I love him that he is such an inventor and he makes machines, and I love it when he pranks the scammers and he pranks the Halloween thieves. And of course, I like Mr. Beast. I like it when he trash talks and he's had full a lot of money, and I liked it when he buys expensive stuff. So I thought to make it exciting, like Bam when he shot the police. Well, I would say that robot, but police that is a fake police. That I thought of some robots that would look like policemen, and Bam shot it. And of course, as you know, in the end, I thought for Bam to throw the robot cop off the bridge, and I thought of like Mr. Beast giving Bam $10,000 for saving his life.
I would not feel good if YouTubers would get shot.
Oh, and I hate to see anybody lose their life. So I guess it would depend on what they stood for, what they were involved in, what their purpose was in life. You hate to see anyone lose their life, but it happens. We're not here to stay. So it would be something I would imagine it would be a tough thing for those who love those individuals. I hate to see anyone lose a life, but if they did die, I hope that they knew Christ.
They're people, and no matter what, people, when it comes down to it, every person was created by God, and God loves them, and it's my duty as a Christ follower to love them as well. So I'd have a hard time hearing of somebody that died or was killed.
Oh man, that would be terrible to use that uniform that's supposed to be used for good and for protecting people, and to make people vulnerable when they would automatically trust somebody in that uniform, and to take advantage of them that way. That sounds really crafty and really evil.
Wow, I don't know. That'd be really sad. We love watching YouTube videos, especially Mark Rober, and he's a great guy. I feel like he's a gift to this generation, so that'd be a scary moment too.
For Night Fight, I would say to make it epic because it was meant to be like during in a night when Bam fights a robot. And it was actually, and as me, I was a Boy Scout, and that's why I had Bam fight a robot in the woods. And I love Thomas, and you know what, I love Thomas the Train. I love trains, and then that's why I showed Bam making the robot go on the train tracks and stab him on the back, and then I thought to make the train hitting the robot would be more like an exciting animated series, and then Bam was like that, felt like that he did it, and there was more to do in the next level.
Oh gosh, that's kind of like some movie that's been made maybe before, or something that we're probably going to see in the future. That would scare me. That would really scare me, because they don't know the emotions of humans as well. Robots are just they just do one thing and what it's told to do, and they can't discern like a human can of the level of threat, for example, of individuals. So it would be a problem for me.
I would say I'd be scared for the 10-year-old boy, because that sounds really scary. But if he was able to figure out how to do it and dismantle that robot, he should definitely be celebrated.
And of course, guys, I promise, this video of me recorded was before your Save Games Animated Program Level 2. And if it was made, don't worry. I'll keep making more levels of Save Games Animated Program.
I would love to watch season 2 made by Blender with visual effects.
Well, you know, I had seen William draw all the pictures on his tablet. Back then, he didn't have the big computer, and he was just drawing at the table, you know. So many scene pictures, you know, I just had hundreds and hundreds of pictures. And then he got it all done, and I wasn't expecting that I would get a part. And so I was like, oh, wow, I get to play Gene. So, yeah, I read through the script, and it was definitely fun. It reminded me of when we did Adventures in Ohio. But this time around, I had a visual to look at. So I could see kind of more what you were thinking, what part I was supposed to play.
And for the voice actors, I had my pen pal, which is Elliot Harrington, to play Bam. And I would like to say that he did a good job. And I had my mom playing Jean. She did a good job too. And with Pastor Josiah, who played Dr. Petley, I also say that he did a good job. And Neil Clark, well, I would call him Pastor Neil because he's the pastor of my church. He did an exactly good job. And of course, the other actor, oh my gosh, he was such the best. I think I underestimated him. I wouldn't say that. I would say I didn't really realize how good he would be. He was a lot good at voice acting. And after all the lines, he said, "Come on, man, give me more." But my dad said that was the whole thing for the whole story. And how I know of Mr. Brooks is that I met him at some Browns thing with my uncle, and then at church service I say, "Hey, I think I know you," and then later on he always says that to me back, and yeah, Mr. Brooks was such a great man, and I would like to be honest with you, I had to really need to be really be patient for them to be available. And I would say that Elliot Harrington was the most available. And and also my grandma, well you wouldn't see her in this video. She doesn't want to get her full likeness in YouTube. Well, she was like an old woman that I know that she is my grandma, and I thought for her to voice act the last woman who had COVID, and I thought for Bam to save someone very old, and I show that to show how caring Bam is for people, and it was and I would say that making Save Games Animated Program Level 1 was a good opportunity for me. And also the waiting for the actors to come voice act was too. Yeah, I got to admit, it took a lot of patience to come to my house and record their voices for their characters. there's and I wouldn't say that my Aunt Jen was a real help for me to post videos videos those videos of Save Games Animated Program Level 1 on YouTube. She was a good help, and 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 of course that way I like I had a big plan with all the Grover Ghost and with starting the Grover Ghost Studio Company to share the gospel, and this is the first season of an animated series, and this is the very first series that Grover Ghost had made. Like, Save Games Animated Program Level 1 was the first that Grover Ghost had actually made. Well, like, I exactly directed, written, and I also written. And which that reminds me, as I was waiting, I had an idea to like have my dad record them when I was at work, but my dad says that it was my project, and I would be recording them. And so I had like some time available when Pastor Neil came. Neil Clark came over to voice act, and then that was a good idea to have Mr. Brooks come on a Sunday because he was available then. And of course, I had to be really honest. I was like frustrated when Neil Clark didn't really fully get my text to ask him when he's available. And then, good news is when I was at work, he texted me that he was just getting free, and then and then later on I finally got Pastor Neil Clark to exactly voice act. And of course, the last actor that I needed to wait for was Robert L. Brooks Jr. And he was such a great man to me. I do not really want to add so I decided to be patient with him when he comes. Man, I could have gave him more. I'll perhaps give him more on the later Save Games Animated Program levels or the other shows. And of course, I added that last scene at the end of the credits when that ghost character would be like, "Meow, I can't do it like this way anymore," and then bam, which is Elliot Harrington's character, gave him something to eat, and which changes, and of course, just telling you that Save Games Animated Program Level 2, instead of flip a clip like I used to make Save Games Animated Program Level 1, which you are watching the documentary of, like, I'm going to use Blender to make the next level. And of course, and I would be honest that when people were watching my Save Games Animated Program Level 1, when I see people watching it, I was feeling embarrassed, like like feeling like an embarrassment, but later on, I I am happy. I was happy to hear that's that some people love my and he did season. Zen. Save Games Animated Program Level 2, who I would guess would be more cinematic, but this first level was a good way to learn from. Um,
William was telling me to, well, he gave me all the lines that he had made and, told me to say with emphasis or sadness, things like that.
Well, my character, he did what he needed to do, and that's all that we were really looking for, is to be able to fulfill the story and make it real. So my character played his part well.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun to do.
It's fun to be the nurse because you think the nurse would know everything, but in this story, the nurse doesn't know everything, and that's why they're so excited to have Bam come help, and so it's kind of funny, and there's kind of some irony in there because normally the nurses want everything to be really clean, but Bam spits in the vaccine to make it stronger, and that's kind of fun and funny. So yeah, and the purple hair, is it pink or purplish hair, is kind of, I did not expect that, so there's a lot of surprises.
Oh, I thought it was a lot of fun. It was interesting to hear different people act, from Grandma B to Mr. Brooks to Josiah and Neil, and all the different people who came and contributed, and it was really fun to see even Elliot come over and record, and just to see the differences in the different people.
It was quick. It was very easy to do. William and Mr. Grover gave me very good and clear instructions of what to do, so it went very quickly and productively.
At first, I thought for my dad to be the sound designer. And then, when he was recording voices, he was recording Elliot Harrington as Bam. And then when I got my computer, which is the studio computer, he taught me how to use Cakewalk for when the voice actors come, so I can record the voice actors. And I would say that my dad was a good teacher. Sure. And I would say that he was a good dad of he was like a wise father of his son, which is me. He not watching it until he was at the age of 16.
Very quick and good. It was very productive and well made.
Well, it was a fun challenge, because it was fun because of I got to write music to go along with such an exciting story, and to get to write a song that I knew William really likes electric guitars. To be able to write an electric guitar driven song that would go along with the feel of the story he had wrote. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so after we voice acted, he would show me all of his projects. His projects are very, very cool. They are very impressive projects.
I would say this again, the COVID-19 emergency is over, but it is a great accomplishment now that COVID-19 was still around, making people sick. sick to some people. Because in the end of COVID-19, and at the very end of that episode, COVID-19 was all completely dead. And this is like a animated season to celebrate that we are all free from COVID, and when the war in Ukraine is over, and if the Ukrainians win the war.
It was amazing, the animations and how everything worked together.
I think maybe one of the things I enjoyed the most was getting to write the music for the credits, and to be able to write that song to be part of it.